All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in much later. Like I mentioned or posted there on Facebook, it was just a day and it just got away from me. And so here it is here, though. We're still going to do a Make It With Me Monday. It's just going to not be live. And I want to still get this layout in and share some new things with you. So let me just dive right in and get to it. All my samples tonight are going to be using this DSP, which you can find in the online store. And it is called, I buried my notes, Botanical Textures. There's a kind of a mega suite. There's actually 2 different DSPs in there. And the other one has more, that's where the textures part come from. This is the botanical part. You'll see florals and leaves and things like that. And the other part is the textures. So there's like basket weaves and wood grains and things like that. See, and the stamp set that combines the two, that floats between the two, that has both of those elements in it. So there are some botanical parts, there's textured parts. Really cool collection. Currently found in the online store. I'm going to focus a little bit on online store stuff and what is up and coming, because we are running now down in the end of the catalog. The last chance list is out, so you can see what's going away and what's staying around maybe, and get those last ones in that you want to make sure you have before they are gone for good, as they disappear off that last chance list. I'll make sure that gets posted with a proper link so that you will know where to find it. All right, so the thing about this botanical print is that it's all done in blacks and whites, like there's multiples of those, black and white, and then shades of gray in between. So it does really go with several different options. You could throw in your smoky slates or your whatever, but what I tend to like to do with black and white papers is to throw pops of color in them. So I am going to use these guys tonight to introduce you to the new set of in colors that will be coming out in May. So first, let me show you these one by one. You can see I don't even have a full sheet of some of these left anymore because I have been using them up. This almost reminds me of a camouflagey pattern. And then this one is going to be great for coloring. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get at that with my blends. So again, this is all the botanicals parts. And then there's black and white, other kinds of imagery on the back side that's more of like modeled looks, patterns, things like that aren't just all the botanical thing. I love the splotchy parts that are in some of these. So there you go. That is our DSP tonight. Again, it's called Botanical Textures, and it can be found in the online store. All right, for stamp sets tonight, I'm kind of floating between a few of them. I have this new one called Turtly Awesome. I actually got this at On Stage when I was out there. It has an adorable little set of DSP and scrapbooking options that are available to go along with this guy here. He's going to be super cute. This one here is also one I picked up when I was out there. It's called Pretty Florals. 2-step one where you can then use a solid, you either stamp this one off first to do the same color, or else you just use a nice 2 colors that pair nicely together, like a lighter version, like you'd use your Lemon Lolly with your Daffodil Delight or something like that, so that you get a varying grade of color between the solid and the detailed image portion. And then here's a new word set that's going to be coming out in the online store in May. It's called The Right Words. And what I like about this one, I believe I mentioned this last week too, is that it has what I call insides and outsides. So you can have something for your phrasing on the outside of the card and then have a nice verse or something that coordinates with it to go on the inside. So I'm going to recommend this right off the bat when you see it come through new in May. All right, now, like I mentioned, I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce you to the new in colors. First, we have Strawberry Slush, which if you've been around for a little bit, you might go, that sounds really kind of familiar. And that's because it is. It was actually an in color a number of years ago in the collection that I kind of referred to as the sherbety year. We had like pistachio and strawberry and baked brown sugar. It just felt very ice cream sherbety, that whole collection was. So Strawberry Slush is back. So that's kind of fun to see. We have a new orange called Timid Tiger. A new yellow that is called Darling Duckling. And then 2 ones that are they're technically, I would say, in the blue family. Now that you can see this against my black cardstock, this one is called Secret Sea, and this one is called Cloud Cover. So this is definitely a step darker than navy, lighter than black, and it's very aptly named. If you think about what you might picture as the deepest deepest, darkest depths of the sea. This is the color we've got. It's going to be a really nice one to have kind of like almost as a new neutral to play with. I know they put, you know, native navies in the neutrals. I really am going to like this, I think, as another darker neutral element. And you can see they kind of make a really pretty rainbow effect pattern here going. So I have all of these cardstocks playing along with one of those pieces of DSP I showed you earlier. And speaking of the playing for the layout, I went back to my trusty page 22 of the current annual catalog, and we're going to be using sketch number 1 tonight. So check that one off our list of ones that we have been working through. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. I also realized as I'm recording this, I forgot to turn off my notification sounds. So possibly we're going to hear Sam text me in a little bit to tell me he's on his way home from work. So I'll just apologize for that in advance. It'll sound like Mario, the Mario Brothers theme song coming through. So we'll see if we can get through this without that happening. Okay, so first off, you're going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 11. Score that at 5 1/2. All of my cardstock bases tonight are basic black. Then I want to have a piece of cardstock 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. This is where you're going to see all of those in colors come into play. A piece of DSP that's 3 1/4 by 4. So again, this is where the botanical textures comes in. And then a neutral piece that's 1 1/2 by 2 1/2. And you can I'll show you the rest of my samples. I've used either dies or punches or something that is about that approximate shape, or you know, width and dimension and thing, so that you can see that it doesn't have to be just a plain old rectangle. You can turn this into something else that if that's what you have hanging around. We're going to be decorating this one up with images and a phrase, but I want the images, my plan is that my image is going to be either in the background or off to the side or something like that, and it's going to play off of something. The phrase is going to be the part that really stands out. So I'm going to be using the lighter color for my image or whatever that's going to be, and then throughout my samples, I'm using that new Secret C color to be my phrase, because it's going to be that way in all of them you see. And like I said, as you're looking through it, you're going, are you sure that's not black? Are you sure that's not navy? Nope, it's going to be a really nice in-between shade for you. All right, let's get down to business. I'm going to remove this because I have black cardstock. That's going to make it hard to see. Okay. So again, for my on-camera sample, we're going to be using the Turtly Awesome. And I have the word hooray and a little image of a birthday cake. So strawberry slush is the color I have going on, again, in this one here. So I'm going to take my birthday cake, and we're going to stamp that here. Okay, so there's my cute little birthday cake. And if I felt like it, I could color that in or something, but I like the line art of it and just being that pop of the pinkish color. So I'm going to let that be just as it is. I'm going to grab my Secret C. And this is a really nice, bold, phrased one that says hooray. So we're going to put that right here. Look at that bold. Isn't that beautiful? Of course, having a brand new juicy ink pad helps a lot, but there's a lot of solidity to the way this font was produced. So I kind of like that one. All right. So that is all the stamping you're going to need to do, unless you want to put something in the inside. I'll add phrases and things to mine later for the inside. I might repeat that image of my my little birthday cake there or something. And again, if you want that inside layer, that's a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock to be layered on your inside. All right, so again, here's my basic black. If you took a look at that particular sketch, you'll see basically what it is the cardstock square goes down first with a little bit of tilt. And then they kind of have this playing up on top. And you can decide how much of that you want to be covering or not covering, as the case may be. And if you're really into symmetry and you don't like cattywampus, play with that. Make them actually be nice and straight and things like that. If you like cattywampus, go for it in all your cattywampusness, because that's now a phrase that I'm going to declare that can be used. Oh dear, it's late at night, everybody. This is when I get punchy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to take my 3 3/4 square piece of strawberry slush, and I'm going to try to follow the initial sketch as much as possible for this one. And then I'm going to take my piece of DSP here. Whoop, my thing keeps flying around. All right, and that's going to be more up top here, layering off a little bit. You're going to see more of that pink underneath. And then, of course, I've got my hooray. piece. And you can, again, for purposes of this demonstration here, everything is just going to go down straight. No dimensions, no anything out of the ordinary there. Okay, so this becomes your focus, and again, you can decide how much you want it to be, more more straight, more angled, more whatever you want that to be. So you can play with this as you go. You'll see in my different samples where I've done some of that as well. All right, so the next one we're going to go to then, after we've done, so that of course was Strawberry Slush. Then we can do the one that is actually the focus of this one here is the Secret Sea. So you can see here, it does look a little more blue against that basic black background. I added a little bit of Timid Tiger just to add a little pop of color into the mix here itself, because if I had stuck with just the Secret Sea, it would be a little too dark for my taste. So I grabbed that floral stamp set I showed you before, where'd it go? Okay. I set them off to the side again, which I'm really good at. Okay. Petal. There you are. Pretty florals. I keep wanting to use the word petals because flowers, I guess. Pretty florals. I actually stamped it I grabbed my Secret Sea and I stamped it onto the DSP. Then I have it in the Timid Tiger right here, and I stamped it off once to get that inside to be a little bit lighter. I took my marker. Now I do have the set of the in color markers already, the Stampin' Write markers, not blends, but regular Stampin' Write markers. And I have those guys. So I added a little doodling with dots around some of my shape here. And then I added, just every once in a while, a little bit of Timid Tiger into one of those flowers that I have stamped up there. And then this, of course, is the Labeled with Love punch. Okay, that was a mouthful. All right, here we go with the Darling Duckling version. So on this particular one, on my layer of cardstock, I ran it through the embossing folder that's called Plaster Painting. I thought the big swirly parts of this matched kind of nicely with what I called before kind of like my camo look. I took a sponge dauber and I brushed varying places of the white that you saw in the DSP with my Darling Duckling, so it takes some of the stark whiteness out of it. I grabbed this birthday balloon, comes from the turtle set, and then again I used my sponge dauber to just very lightly go inside the balloon so that it kind of filled that in pretty nicely. I thought that was kind of cool. And the happy birthday though comes from that other phrase I showed you, or set I showed you before, called The Right Words. And then we have some new accessories that'll be done in these in color collection, and they're these really cute little flat pearls. And so those are the ones that are in the Darling Duckling color. All right. Then I jumped to Timid Tiger. I took, I kind of am playing off tiger striping on this one, and I'm hoping it's going to show up on camera the way I can see it here. So I took my Secret Sea ink pad and I drew it down, actually the base of the black, the black base, card base, there we go. Then I grabbed my Timid Tiger and I went tone on tone again here. And then I added these kinds of parts with the sponge dauber, where I just ran the edge of my sponge dauber over some of those white parts. So I have a lot of striping playing into the whole tiger concept. And then I grabbed this stamp set here, excuse me, that is called She's the Greatest. That's also in the online exclusives, and it's kind of got all kinds of great phrasing as phrase builders for all your feminine card needs, basically. So you've got words like mother, sister, aunt, daughter, all the things. And then there's even like pet mom, cat mom, dog mom, all those kinds of things. And it's this really cute cat picture or cat stamp. And we have two, you've probably seen them, or at least their tails or something as they float by in my videos. We have two orange tigers, so we love them. So that is why my Timid Tiger has the cat theme on it as well. This time I added just a little bit of baker's twine, which I took my sponge dauber into my Timid Tiger ink, and I made the white one into a Timid Tiger color. Timid Tiger, Timid Tiger, Timid Tiger. We're going to have to say that 10 times fast. All right, now this last one here is cloud cover, and I did change the layout on this one. As you'll see, it goes horizontal, not vertical. And I did that thing before where I talked to you guys about lining it up, more cohesive, as opposed to these where you have cattywampus parts, they're playing off of each other, going different directions and that sort of thing. So with this one here, I kept it straight up, changed it up a little bit by adding ribbon all the way across. I took this image from the flowers. It's actually this one right here, this piece right here. And if I cut off the edge of it, you'll see that's where that spike, let me turn it around this way actually. That's where that spiky pattern is coming from. So I did that all around the edges of the cloud cover DSP, and I've stamped it in the Secrecy ink. And then we don't actually have the cloud cover ink pad yet. They discovered there's something's off on the ink itself. And so they sent those back to get fixed, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that gets fixed by the catalog release, because it is a very beautiful color that I want to be able to stamp in. But in the meantime, I have my markers. So yay, I could still do it. So I just inked up my marker, or inked up my stamp with my marker, and did a few of those in cloud cover right on there. And then the "You're So Kind" comes from that, the right words. And again, I stamped that in Secrecy. I added a couple more of those guys right there, again in Secrecy, put a rhinestone in the middle. And then this is a white linen? Yes, white linen ribbon. And again, I took my marker to it. Normally I color that kind of thing with my blends. It gets much more saturated. I wanted this to be just a little hint of the cloud cover. I didn't want it to be totally taken over. So this one worked nicely for me to just very gently brush across that with my marker. You can do similar things if you have your ink pad and your sponge dauber. You can do similar things to the ribbons with that as well. All right, so let's review the very first one. Here we've got my Hooray Birthday Cake, and here we've got my stepped up version. So this time I went to the dies that go along with this Botanical Textures collection. They're all rectangles of varying sizes, and they all have a different kind of stitched edge to them. So that's really kind of a fun thing. So that changed the spacing out a little bit. It's a little bit narrower. So I decided to put this more together. So my cake and my phrase kind of line up really nicely there. I took black linen, or black baker's twine, to add the little bow this time. Again, some sponging with my strawberry slush. And as you'll notice here, I do have another layer to pop that slush off against the black paper. But then I also took my cake stamp again, and I did that all over that strawberry slush layer before I put that down. All right, so we've got our 2 strawberry slush samples. And then, like I said, this is the cloud cover. These are going to be beautiful colors, you guys. You can't wait for you guys to be able to get these into your collections next month. It's going to be so awesome. So there's my Darling Duckling, and of course, Secrecy. Okay, so that was Make It With Me Monday. Very late. Technically, it's Tuesday. But I will see you guys live next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.